everybody, and welcome to The Void, a show dedicated to filling the void between being an employee and becoming self-employed. Most people refer to starting your own company as taking the leap, as if they're blindly jumping off a cliff and into the unknown. This show is here to help you understand that it doesn't have to be that way. As always, if you like what you're hearing on the show, please do us a favor and help share this show with somebody else who might also be wanting to start their own company. We saw an opportunity to help others understand that self-employment is well within your reach. And just as our businesses have grown organically and by word of mouth, we want this show to grow the same way. So for that to happen, it takes two things. We have to keep giving you really good content, and you have to help share our show. I'm your host, Mitch Smedley, and with me, as always, is David Hilden.
Mitch, how's business this week, bud?
It's good.
Yeah, I usually don't ask you about actual work, but what was last week like? Okay.
So we're
busy? Slow?
We're slow. We're in the middle of the stereotypical slow time for service plumbing industries, and probably a lot of in-home service industries anyway. Back to school time.
Yeah. House sales are always slow about this time.
Yep. So
it's amazing. Everyone's like, "Oh, this is just so slow this time of year. We can't figure it out. The market's down. We can't figure." Kids are back in school. Everyone's got to get back into their routine. This is really the new year. The new year is really the beginning of the school year.
Yep.
When all the kids go back and everyone starts their cycle over for the new year.
Right.
I mean, it's just what it is.
Some businesses change their fiscal year to September 1 as the first day of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
Some businesses actually do that. I've never understood how or why they do that, because it doesn't line up with your tax year, so it just doesn't make sense to me. I prefer to just keep it all clean.
No, and I've seen guys do it that they'll do it April 15th.
Right.
So the end of the tax season. But then if you file an extension, it's
tax season is still 1/1 to 12/31.
Not well. So, but they're not due till April 15th.
They're not due, right?
So I know
that's just
weird. People do weird stuff, dude.
I think Quadruple was May.
Their fiscal year was May.
Yeah, it was
May
starting
1?
over May 1, I think.
Yeah,
I wonder if they do that because of anniversary when their business started.
Some of it was our fiscal year could, because we opened our doors on August 1st of 2020. Our fiscal year could be August 1, but I just buried that first partial year, and now that was my getting my feet under me time. And then literally from here forward, I look at whole years at a time from that point.
I think that's how most people do it. Mitch probably thought I was not going to bust his balls about the horrific golf I saw on Saturday.
Man.
But we're going to spend at least 5 minutes talking about how bad Mitch is at golf.
Yeah, so Dave and I played in a golf tournament on Saturday.
Well, let me give you your props first. Mitch helped sponsor a tournament.
Yep.
He was one of the main sponsors, and he paid for our team to play.
Yep.
Which was, let's be honest, it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, and if we would have landed in the flights differently, we would have gotten an award.
We shot a 58 on a 4-man scramble.
Yeah.
Which is, it's fine.
What was the lowest score? 51. Yeah.
51.
So I played, and I only play golf 2 to 4 times a year, not very often at all. And when I played in Cancun, a month and a half ago, 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, we talked about it.
I played really well. I played double bogey golf. And for me, if I do double bogey golf, that's good enough for me to enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
If this would not have been a scramble tournament, I would have been the designated drunk driver of the golf cart, because
it was bad.
Yeah, the only reason I was having fun was because it was a scramble, and I didn't have to play hardly any of my shots.
No, we had a great time. There was a lot of alcohol put down. How many balls did you lose? Did you lose a dozen? Joey lost a dozen.
I lost over 18. Yeah.
You lost 18?
I probably set the course record for most balls donated to that rough. And I don't even, they can't even find them in that stuff. I don't even know what they do with them.
No, I don't either. Yeah, Mitch and I didn't ride together. He rode with his buddy. My brother played with us. So I didn't get to see how many weren't found. But, I mean, it was a lot. There were some hit off the tee and were just nope.
Yeah, we were in separate carts, so it wasn't a matter of checking each other up there. But
oh man, it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. We kind of decided we might have to do one of these podcasts during a round of golf. We might get Austin following us around with the audio stuff, and we'll do a walking podcast on a 9-hole course or something.
Yeah, we'll play like 9 holes in an afternoon. You play 2 holes, you drink 2 shots. You play 2 holes, you drink 2 shots, and we'll just see what knowledge can be drummed up from way back inside of your brain.
Yeah. Well, if I don't hit it past the ladies' tees, then we're not going to be able to show this on YouTube.
Mitch did have to tee off one hole with his pants down because he did not make it past the ladies' tees. I didn't
make it off my tee box.
I know.
Let alone I didn't even make it to the ladies' tees.
Yeah. And his friend, quote unquote, is like, nope. Take your pants off.
Yeah.
Imagine doing that down that golf course in Cancun. You had on vacation trying to do something like this.
Oh yeah, with that
that guy, the Nazi,
golf Nazi guy that was down. That was bad. So
that's enough ball busting. It wasn't that bad. But it was a lot of fun.
Dave and I are going to toy with a little bit of a new show format. Typically, we'll bring you guys like a business show and then a Beyond the Void show, 2 shows a week. We're going to kind of change things up a tad here and see how it works. We're going to do this for a couple of weeks and just see what the feedback is. But we're going to bring it down to 1 show a week, about an hour long, and we're going to condense it to really, really solid content. So the one guarantee with each of these shows is you're going to have a business topic. We're going to talk about 3 topics in each show. You're going to have a business topic, you're going to have a Beyond the Void topic, and then we're going to have like a flex topic depending on what is going on that week. Maybe we've got a business topic, maybe we've got another Beyond the Void type topic, who knows. So society will probably help dictate that one depending on what the business market is doing, but then also the social market is doing. So,
all right. What is our first topic?
First topic of the day. So, if you're listening to this show and you are working a 9 to 5, I say 9 to 5. Let's be honest, a 6:30 to 4, whatever most of our blue collar type workers are that are listening to this show.
Depends on what kind of mood I'm in. Sometimes it's a 9 to 2.
So if you're listening to this show,
10 to 1:30.
Right now is kind of the back to school season, and this is like especially in the plumbing world and probably HVAC, depending on where you're at in the country. This is kind of the slow time of the year. A lot of households with kids, their priorities are shifted to getting their kids back in school, getting back into their routines, and all of that stuff. And so your semi-discretionary repairs, they're holding off on those, right? If they've got a faucet that's been dripping for a couple of weeks, it's just going to have to keep dripping for a couple more weeks.
2 more weeks don't make a difference.
Right. So you're still doing emergency type stuff, right? And there's a lot of businesses out there that help try to cover the shoulder seasons. That's what I call the slow time, is the shoulder season. There's a lot of businesses out there that will try to do things to kind of cover those a little bit by doing furnace tune-ups or electrical inspections or whole home plumbing inspections or something like that. And so you see a big shift or a big focus onto those. But undoubtedly the back-to-school time is kind of the slow time for that kind of stuff. So if you're looking at becoming self-employed, it right now could be scaring the crap out of you. Because here you got all this excitement and all of this energy and all this anticipation to start your own company, and then all of a sudden your work got slow. And so now you're thinking, well, heck, I couldn't start my own company working this slow. Like, maybe it is good that I work for somebody else. So one of the things that I just wanted to bring up and highlight is it does this every year. Every single year, it gets slow around back to school time. Every single year. And so as you are as you're looking at the vision of you starting your own company, prepare for the slow season. So know that it's coming. Don't be surprised when it comes, and don't let it discourage you. Me personally, I love the slow season because it gives me time to focus on other things. I can focus on new training possibilities or find weaknesses in our business that I can fix, or find new marketing possibilities or whatever the case may be. So I personally like the planned slow time.
And it makes, if it was an insanely busy summer, it gives you a break. Just a nice little, oh man, right. I can catch up. Oh, we can put the shop back together.
Right.
We can make sure all the trucks are stocked. You can easily burn up 2 weeks just doing regular, maintenance stuff that you put off because you were so busy, which is hopefully how your summer was.
Yeah.
But then you have to talk about, this is what we were talking about before the show. You have to make sure you're prepared financially, for that time of year. We talk about personal responsibility on this show all the time.
Yep.
That's on the business owner to make sure that, all of our rent is covered, all of our utilities are covered. If we do have a really slow August or slow September, but that falls on your guys too. Hey, I've been paying you out the nose all year long.
Right.
Guys bitch about it all the time. Oh man, it's slow. I need the hours. I need this. I need that. I need that. And they've been blowing money instead of setting money aside.
Right.
And if you're doing that now and you're thinking, I'm going to start my own business, that gets back to the personal finance prep, which
Step
is,
1.
Episode 1 that we do, or that we did.
Episode 2.
Was it 2?
Yep.
That, we talk about, hey, you need to be prepared for slow times. You need to be prepared for having all of your debts paid for in advance before you go out on your own.
Right.
So that if you do have a slow, say it's May and it's actually busy time, but you just started your company, well, it's going to be slow for you. You need to make sure you have that money set aside.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what has to happen.
Yeah.
Like you said, didn't you tell me you started your company like about this same time?
We opened our doors August 1st. Now, a company that's in its infancy, in its first few months of business, is totally different than a company that has employees and has a real estate expense, a lease or a building payment of some kind, and has multiple vehicle payments. We've got 5 vehicle payments that we have to make every month, no matter how busy or slow we are.
Yeah.
We've got a lease that we have to make.
And you have to make sure that you have that money for when the slow time comes.
And we also have incredibly healthy benefits. I'm talking incredibly healthy benefits, especially for a company our size. Our benefits are better than these companies out there that have hundreds of employees. And so those benefits cost the company money every month. No matter how much we make in revenue, we still have to pay those expenses as well.
Yeah.
And so, it is a matter of looking on the business side of things. It is a matter of looking ahead throughout the year and identifying, okay, these will be slow, so I will need to have some cash in the bank to cover things during these months. And this this shouldn't scare you. This is not anything new, right? Like
That's
the whole
economics 101. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The whole thing, this goes all the way back to look at retail stores and how Black Friday got its name, right? Before online shopping was crazy popular, there were a lot of stores that were literally running in the negative all year long. And then the Friday after Thanksgiving was the first day of the year that they showed any profit.
Yeah.
So they had to look at their finances on an annual vision, knowing that, okay, we're managing our losses for 11 months
the best
out of the year
until now.
And then we make hay 1 month out of the year.
Yeah. It's just like a pumpkin patch.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything for 10 months.
Yeah.
But man, when those 2 months are here, they are making jack.
Yeah.
And then they've got to set that money aside. I mean, it's an extreme example, but sometimes when you're starting out on your own, you need to think of everything as an extreme example.
Yeah.
Because your actions are extreme, for that time period. $50 to you may be $500 to a big company.
Right.
You know what I mean? 1 tank of gas for you is, a whole fleet worth of gas for somebody else. And so you have to have that mindset of, I'm going to be the most prepared I can be no matter what.
Yeah.
I have to look at it as if tomorrow the bottom could fall out, and I have to be prepared to make my minimums
right
when that work's not coming in.
And I can speak from experience that the most successful people I have seen make the switch from employee to self-employed, the ones that are the most successful were the ones that were the most financially accelerated, if you will, before they made the switch with their personal finances. They weren't buying the latest and greatest, cars and trucks and toys and all of that stuff, and then went off into self-employment. They were the ones that had their personal finances dialed down to a T, and there wasn't anything that was going to come as a major surprise to them, right? You were kind of hitting it. All too often, we tend to live above our means, and then when the slow time hits or something slows down, now we're in panic mode. Mm-hmm. And it's very quick and easy for us to look outward as someone else is responsible for this instead of me, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, we all chose those notes. We all chose those expenses. And you can't tell me that, like, you look, like, let's say it's a car payment and you're financing it for 5 years. You can't tell me that you didn't think you were going to have a tight month financially over the next 60 months.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, if that car payment was tough to swing on good months, it's impossible to swing on bad months. So that's probably not something you should be doing.
Yeah. And that's the minimums, you know. We talk about everyone's, or not necessarily the minimums, but the maximums. Oh, I can afford this. I can afford this. Oh, yes, I can afford this. Oh, man, I got hurt and I didn't work this week. Oh, I can't afford that this month.
Right.
Well, you've already committed. You've already committed to pay that to those people every month.
Yeah.
All right? You have to be, and I don't know if it's as bad as it was like when I was 20, 25. I mean, you would go in to get a car loan, and they'd be like, oh, we can stretch it to this, or we can stretch it to this. You know, they didn't have your best interest in mind.
Oh, gosh, no.
And
they still don't.
No, and that's what we talk about, personal responsibility.
Yeah.
Just because they say that doesn't mean that when you have a bad month, you can afford it.
Right.
They're saying that because they can get you into a car and get that thing down the road. They're not even financing it.
Their interest,
it's another bank down the road.
Yeah, their interest is pushing units, so number of cars sold, and their interest is also pushing amount financed because the dealership and the salesman get kickbacks on the amount financed.
Right.
That's why some dealers, you go in there and they'll have a price for a car of $20,000. And then when you tell them you're going to pay cash for it, well, now the cash price is now $23,000. Yeah. And it's because they were going to make $3,000 on you just from you financing it.
Yeah.
So I have a buddy of mine that literally had that happen to him last week.
Wow.
He put $1,000 down on a car. He flew to go get it. And then they jacked the price up on him by $3,000. And he's sitting there with a cashier's check. Like, it's already made out.
Yeah.
And so he flew home.
I'd have given him a finger and left.
Yeah, he flew home. No car. He's like, you're not going to do this to me. See ya.
First off, that's why I will never buy a new vehicle.
Right.
I've never bought a new vehicle.
Well, this one wasn't new, but
or something from a dealership that is brand new or close to new. I'd rather. I mean, my truck I did get from a dealership, but it was super used.
Yep.
You know, I like to go to somebody and be like, "Hey, dude, I'll just write you a check for this."
I mean, that's how I bought mine, and I flew all the way to frickin' New Jersey for mine. 80,000 mile 2015 F-150.
Jersey. You can smell New Jersey when you get to like Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Wait, New Jersey, is it below that? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Drove it away from his house at 1 o'clock and drove all the way home. I drove through all of Pennsylvania. That was the worst part about that whole thing.
Pennsylvania.
I drove all the way through Pennsylvania in the dark.
Oh.
Like, Pennsylvania is one of the prettiest states in the nation.
Yeah, Pennsylvania Dutch country.
And here I drove through most of it in the dark. I'm like, that sucks.
Yeah, a story that's like in my own life, whenever I used to work at McDonald's, I remember I used to run McDonald's for a year, and we'd have corporate come by, and they would grade like the once a year, the BSV, whatever they called it. And the guy's talking, and he's like, lunch happens at the same time every day, and you got to go to these restaurants, and people act like they're surprised at lunch. The lunch rush comes.
Oh, the lunch rush is here. Oh my God!
Right. Yeah, and he just
every day
states it's like it's the same time every day, and he said I've seen maybe one restaurant that's like,
yeah.
You know.
Well, and if you're the type of employee that isn't jumping at the chance for extra work, self-employment is probably not for you, right? Like, how do we balance slow times? We work more during the busy times. And that's a personal choice. That's not, and I don't want to say personal choice like political thing. Like, that's a disciplined thing, right?
Yeah.
You know it's going to be slow during certain times of the year.
Yeah.
So you owe it to yourself to say, okay, like for us, it would be like number of service calls, right? On average, our guys are going to run 15 to 20 service calls in a week. Okay? Well, during the slow time, they may be running 10 service calls in a week. nearly half.
Yeah.
Right? So, and that may happen for a couple of months. So my logic immediately goes to, okay, 8 weeks of 10 calls less, let's say it's 6 calls less per week on average.
Yeah.
For 8 weeks. Now I got to bust out my calculator here.
You know, when I think about that while you're doing that, so when I was hourly, like say I was just getting paid, say I worked for you. The way I would look at that is I would be banking money all season.
Yeah.
And then right now when it came around and you were saying, okay, guys, we're slow. I'm going to try to divide the calls up. I'm going to try to get you 6 to 8. I would come to Mitch and I would be, like my mindset would be, Mitch, if you can give me all of my calls in like a 3-day period, can we do that so that then I can pack those days and then those other 2 days I can go fishing?
Right.
Because I've saved my money all year because I know that in the fall when the fishing's good, if I can work with Mitch and say, hey, I can bust my butt for these 3 days.
Yeah, shift to a 312 or a 410 or something like that.
Or if you had another guy that wanted to do the same thing can take the other 3 days, then you're always covered.
Right.
But then you can get that extra time off. But the only way that works is if you're saving your money all year round, knowing that that's going to happen.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I mean, that's how I always, even when I was on my own and on call all the time, that's how I always thought of it. Is like, okay, I know if I work during the summer and I'm just killing myself all this time, man, when Thanksgiving and Christmas rolls around, I'm going to have time. You can have time with your family. You can, you can do whatever. I mean, and that's kind of like, when we were doing new construction, I always thought of it that way. Once it gets cold and that stuff starts slowing down, hey, now it's time to take a break.
Yeah.
Granted, I was poor then and stupid, and I didn't have the money.
It kind of times out on the new construction side of things because a lot of new construction guys are hunters, right? And so if you're living well within your means, you don't mind the slow time because it gives you a little bit more time in the woods.
Yeah, you're going fishing, you're going hunting. Mitch, give me my calls 3 days, man. That means I get 4 days.
4-day weekend.
I can hunt or fish.
Yep.
And then I can come in and bust my butt for those 3 days and get all. I mean, if you have more calls, that's one thing. But if it's slow and you're trying to spread them out between guys anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're not thinking past next week, it's going to be really difficult, right? So, like, to get back to what I was saying earlier, now that
did you get it figured out?
Yeah, I did fast math on a calculator that my teacher never said I would have with me.
Yeah, you remember that?
She was wrong.
You'll never have a calculator with you all the time.
So, like, let's say you're going to have 6 less calls for a period of about 8 weeks, okay? That's 48 less service calls. So, I have to find a way. If I want to maintain that standard of income, I have to find a way throughout the other 10 months of the year to run an extra 48 calls. Now, 48 calls divided by 10 months is 4.8, let's call it 5 service calls a month, right? So at 5 times in a month, if my boss calls me and says, hey, I've got an extra call if anybody wants to run late, I'm literally, like, the way my mind works is I know I need an extra 50 calls during the to cover during the slow time. So I'm literally looking throughout the year for those extra 50 calls. And if my boss called in and said, hey, I've got an extra call if you want to work late, that comes off my tally. I'm 1 call closer to covering my shoulder season.
Yeah.
Right? And I literally did this when I was a plumbing service tech working in the field, before I got into management, before I started my own company. I was literally preparing for the slow times during the busiest of times.
Yeah, so that you had the money, and it's if you didn't want to look at it as calls, you would look at it like, okay, I make $1,000 a month. Okay, my expenses are $800 a month. My minimum is $700 a month. That means anything you make over $800, you should be setting aside.
Right.
If you have a separate savings that's, you're putting that $200 into, maybe make another separate savings that you're putting $50 into, and that is just slow time money.
Right.
Okay, when we do get slow, I will have this money set aside for if the calls don't come in.
So we actually have that in our compensation plan that we have with our revenue producers. We have like a bank built into their compensation plan to where when they have really, really good weeks.
Like dollars bank or hours bank?
For us, it's like a task hours bank.
Okay.
But if they have really, really good weeks, they can take task hours and deposit them in the bank. And then they can sit there for as long as they want. There's really no rules with it. Like the bank is there for them to use, right?
Yeah.
So that task hours bank is kind of like a business savings account. So that, okay, during, like, I had a bang up week, everything worked perfectly.
Yeah.
And I was clicking on all cylinders, and holy cow, my revenue was, 140% of what it usually is, or my income.
I made every sale.
Right.
I made every stinking sale I had.
So you can very quickly put that money into the bank, get your paycheck back to where it normally is, and now that money is in your bank here at our company. That money is in your bank, and then you can use it during the slow time. And so that way your paychecks never even, like the whole idea.
Off.
Yeah. Now, it does require personal discipline to do that.
Personal responsibility?
And a lot of times people have that bang up week and they want to go spend it because they feel like they've earned it, right?
Yeah. And we've talked about that a lot.
That's the challenge, is you have to have the discipline to know, like, and that seems to be the key point where people forget that there is a slow time throughout the year, is when that paycheck's amazing. Yeah. And so you've got to have the discipline to know things are slowing down as that comes. So, and this is like naturally rolled into step one of our 6 core adversities that you need to overcome to start your business. Step one is personal finance prep, and so this is kind of naturally rolled into personal finance prep for your business. And what we talk about in that step is making sure your finances are in order. And so if you listen to this show and you decide self-employment isn't for you, this episode still gives you benefit because you're learning how to be more successfully financially, learning to be how to
financially
be financially successful, whether you're self-employed or not.
Yeah.
Right? There's boatloads of guys out there that have made, a very good living and you don't have to be self-employed to have a respectable life, by no means.
No.
And so
it's not for everyone. We talk about it all the time. I know guys that literally retired at 55 and 60 that worked construction their whole lives.
Yeah.
And you know what they did? They put their money into mutual funds, or even if the company they worked for didn't have an IRA, they set up their own simple IRA. And then when they retired with dignity and, had done the right thing.
Yep.
And, probably had a better quality of life than a lot of business owners that are struggling to run their business with stress and this and that, and they knew that stress wasn't for them.
Yeah.
Their quality of life may have been better just because they decided to do it that way. We're not saying, business is for everyone.
Yeah.
It's hard. It is hard work, and it takes dedication, but you do not have to own your own business to be successful.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to do your due diligence and be responsible with your money, and you can get there just the same.
Yeah. I mean, if you gave me the option to remain an employee but also have great financial sense about me, or to lose my financial sense but own a business, I would choose to remain an employee every day of the week, right?
Yeah.
That's just a lot easier life. It's a lot less stress in your life.
Yeah.
So,
and like we talk about, some people just aren't built to handle that kind of stress.
Yep.
Some people, when they're under a lot of stress, they go crazy. They eat out every day. They drink too much. They stop taking showers. They're just weirdos.
Right.
Some people can't handle stress like other people handle stress. It's not for everyone.
Right. The level of success you will have in life is in direct relation to the amount of decisions you can make in a day. And the more decisions you're able to make in a day without getting overwhelmed and overstressed, the more successful you will be. Now, some guys make those decisions in advance. Some guys create teams to where they can delegate those decisions to. and they're just doubling down and tripling down on that level of success, right? So if you're not very good at building teams and you're not very good at delegating, now you have to make all of those decisions, and eventually they're going to like pile on top of you and bury you.
Yeah.
So, but a decision you make today to hire somebody to do some tasks for you, well, now they're handling some of those decisions. So,
right.
But ultimately, yeah, whether you're an employee for somebody or you're going to start your own company, you need to be looking at finances on a fiscal basis, on an annual fiscal basis, and looking long term. So one of the things that I do, and I've done this for quite a few years as a manager, is I take our annual revenue for the year, and then I go back and I apply weight to each month at which we earned the revenue. So, in January, we may have earned 6% of our annual revenue for the year in January. In February, we may have earned 9% of our annual revenue for the year in February. And so what that does is it allows you, so when you graph all that out and then you look at the graph, it tells you where your seasons are and where, it eliminates great months.
It eliminates guesswork too.
Yeah.
Oh, some guys don't take numbers that serious, and they're like, well, I think it was slow last year, or I think, we did this.
Right.
It makes it easy for you to go back and say, hey, guys, look.
Yeah.
This is what we did last year in these months.
September is always slow.
Okay. This is what we need to focus on.
August is always slow. And so, but you can use, if you're in let's say you've newly started your business, or your business has been going for 3 or 4 years and you're a listener to this show, go back and look at your revenue for all of your previous months and apply that logic to it. And you'll find out that okay, we've got some patterns here this month. I'm not going to say it's August and September. It's going to be different for every industry. But you're going to find that, okay, this month it's always slow. This month it's always slow. So I need to know that going in, that I'm going to have lower revenue on these months, and I need to be prepared for that. Yeah. So I thankfully had that exposure years before I started our company, just in the management that I was doing. And so, we just talked about earlier, I literally started our company during the slow time, but I wasn't worried at all because we didn't have a lot of expenses when we first started.
Yeah, we talk about that, when we say don't just quit your job. If you've got to stick it out, suck that information up.
Yeah.
That was information that you were pulling straight from your employer for free.
And if you're a sales guy at an organization, it doesn't matter what job you're doing. If you're a sales guy at an organization, you can be pulling your own numbers. And you can be saying, okay, let's say I did $1 million in sales this year. Well, I'm able to say, okay, I did, $800,000 in January. I did $100,000 in February. I did $600,000 in March. You're able to graph your own out, and it gives you a reference to work from, right? So those two things together, one is not letting the shoulder seasons scare you, and then practicing good personal financial discipline, which is step 1, episode 2 of this show. Both of those things are going to be what powers you through the standard slow times that you're going to have, the seasonal slow times you're going to have in your company.
And don't be afraid to talk to your employees about those exact situations.
Right.
Okay? You will help them if you can make them understand, hey, we're going to be slow here. You guys need to be prepared.
Right.
This is why we do these things.
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't feel like you're telling them what to do. Just be honest with them and say, hey, look, we're going to be slow these times. You guys should be saving your money.
Get ready.
Like you do. You have a bank set aside. Say, hey, I have this bank set aside. I'm happy to hold that stuff for you.
Right.
And then if you need that regular income or would prefer that regular income, I'm happy to do that for you.
Right.
It makes it a lot of, you can have tax relationships with your employees, and most of the time they're based off of money, whether it's actually your fault, their fault, whoever's fault. If you can, nip those situations in the bud before they even get there, that's, that's even better for your company.
Right. So. Right. That's one of the ways that a good employer is looking out for their employees. They're providing them a place to prepare for the slow times.
Yeah.
So let's roll on to our third topic of the day.
Oh, man. What do we got?
Third topic.
What are we talking about?
Student loan forgiveness. Big shocker, right? Like,
no.
Who was not going to be talking about this?
I thought you were going to...
You thought I was going to bring up Zuckerberg on Rogan.
Yeah. About how the election was stolen. I thought that's what we were going to talk about.
No.
We're talking about student loan forgiveness.
Student loan forgiveness.
What do you want to talk about student loan forgiveness?
Well... You
want to talk about how stupid it is? How dumb it is?
I mean...
The fact that all of us that have worked our whole lives now have to pay... You know what pisses me off the most about it? Is that people just think it's free money.
Right.
It's not free money. It's tax money.
Yeah.
We have all paid for that. So instead of that money going to... I'm just going to throw wild things out there. Cancer research, road improvements,
right?
Paying more policemen, paying more, giving the military men and women a raise, building that wall at the southern border.
Nature, the environment, climate change, like whatever your hot button issue is.
Yeah, we're spending money on stupid kids that wanted to get a liberal arts degree and now can't find a job to pay for their student loans because a liberal arts fucking degree, there's no jobs for that.
Right.
You can't get a job with that degree.
Right.
Now the rest of us have to foot the bill. It's freaking unbelievable.
So, I mean, obviously it's wrong. And I've engaged in a couple of conversations with a couple of people on Facebook about it. And I've done this intentionally as much as I wanted to, like put my hands around their neck and like the whole Homer Simpson to Bart Simpson thing and be like, oh my gosh, you're an idiot.
Until his eyes freaking pop out of his head.
I was like pulling information from these people to really see where they're coming from. The people that are in support of this, they are completely naive as to the root cause of the problem. And they are very easily persuaded as long as it's benefiting them, right? So one of the people I was talking to was talking about how the students are victims of the colleges, and so before we correct an issue, we have to make it right with the victims. And so they're in support of it because this is the government making it right with the victims.
Now, I will say that some of those students were victims. They were predatory loans on those students.
Yeah.
Okay. And I agree with that. And there are lawsuits for a lot of those colleges going on.
Right.
It is still not our responsibility as taxpayers to make that wrong or right.
Yeah. There's no place in society. Right. There's no place in society where you punish society as a whole because a portion of them were foolish.
Right.
Like that never, ever works in society. And so it doesn't matter predatory or not, right? Like you can Monday morning quarterback any predatory nature thing. Take like payday loan companies.
Like internet scams or that sort of stuff.
Yeah, there's predatory internet scams, there's predatory payday loan companies and all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, if you want to look at it with blinders on, you can see how those people got taken advantage of, right? Well, ultimately, they still made the decision to do it.
Yeah.
And so part of it is shame on them. Part of it is shame on their upbringers for not doing a better job of educating them to those things, right?
Yeah.
Part of it is shame on local government. Like this is one thing I do like about the city that we live in is they actually have a max cap for payday loan places within the city limits.
Yeah.
And we're at that max cap now. It's not outrageously high. It's not like we've got payday loan places on every corner, but you cannot put another payday loan place in our city. There's a max. We're maxed out, right? So some of it is local governments that allow places like that to keep popping up and then preying on their citizens, and it's just lowering the class of the citizens, right? But at the same token, ultimately it does come down to the personal decision of the person to choose to enter into that loan. It's not much different than what we were talking about on personal finance prep. It doesn't make sense to go out and buy the latest and greatest car simply because you can afford it on good months.
Yeah.
Like you have to have good, sound financial logic to sell yourself on the idea that this is a good investment and it will pay off. Anybody, I get that maybe there was a period of time where the allure of you got to go to college to get a good job, right? Like that's what it was 20 years ago. But 20 years ago, we didn't quite understand how lopsided the expenses were. College was also substantially cheaper 20 years ago.
Yeah, you could go to community college for 2 years for relatively cheap.
Yeah, for $10,000.
Yeah, I went for a semester. It was cheap.
Yeah, it's like $5,000 a semester.
I still didn't have the money to do it.
Or $5,000 a year. It's like $2,500 a semester to go to community college, right?
It's pretty cheap.
So, ultimately, there's still students out there, unlimited access to information these days, students and parents both. And they're
still doing it.
And they're still doing it.
You know what really pisses me off, too, is they come out and they say this, and then literally the next day, students are being approved for more loans.
Yeah.
From the same people.
So,
I mean, what are you going to do? You telling me every 4 or 5 years you're just going to come out and give everyone $10,000 that applied for student loans?
Here is another major thing that's kind of buried into this.
It's the great unbalance.
Right.
It's just insanity.
So there is another thing that is going on with this that is insane. It's called Income-Driven Repayment System, IDR. Okay? So this is a thing that now sets students' monthly loan payments based off of their post-graduation income. Okay?
Never heard of this. I'm listening.
This is tied to this.
Okay.
Right?
Like right now, or they've always been doing this?
They were doing it previously. This totally revamped this and heightened it up. So it changed it a little bit.
Can you go on there and look what a liberal arts degree idiot makes?
No.
What about underwater basket weaving?
Right.
What's the monthly payout?
The current existing plans, depending on your income level, they require the borrower to pay 10 or 20% of their annual income for 2 decades. And then
20% for 2 years or for 20 years?
For 2 decades.
That's 20 years.
20 years.
I know what a decade is.
Right.
20% for 20 years.
That's not 20% of the loan. That's 20% of your annual income.
I know.
Right.
They won't even approve you for a home loan for that.
Right.
Based off one individual.
So,
and then 33%.
Well, and then after 2 decades, the remainder of the loan is forgiven.
What?
Yeah. This is a legit thing. Google it. Income-driven.
So if you made $100,000, that's $20,000 a year. What's 20,000 times 20, Mitch? It's a shitload.
That's $400,000.
That's more than college costs.
Right.
That's unfucking believable.
So this is the sham, right? So that's the current plan. They pay 10 to 20% of their income annually for 2 decades, after which...
Stop. 10 to 20. Who decides if it's 10 or 20?
I think it depends on what your income is.
Okay.
I'm not positive. After which, the remainder of the loan is forgiven. Between 2010 and 2020, the percentage of federal student borrowers enrolled in the IDR program surged from 10% to 32%. Okay?
I'm listening.
So, under this new plan...
Blood is on fire.
Under this new plan, IDR borrowers will now pay just 5% of their income for undergraduate loans and 10% of their postgraduate loans for a period of 10 or 20 years, depending on how much is owed. The plan will also increase the amount of income that isn't subject to IDR from 150% above the poverty line to 225% above the poverty line and eliminate any annual accrual of interest under the plans. So, basically what they're saying...
I understand what they're saying.
is now you can go to college, you get to deduct 225% of the poverty line from your income, and you only have to pay 5%
of your income
of the difference from 225% of the poverty line.
It's like a tax write-off for 225 above the poverty line based off of your income, and then whatever's left, you're paying 5% of that.
5% of that.
So if it's $100,000 and the poverty line's $25,000. You're paying 5% of $75,000.
And if you're an undergrad, you're only doing that for 10 years and then it's gone. And if you're a graduate, you're doing it for 20 years and then it's gone, right? So here, this actually makes colleges charge more. What this does is this literally incentivizes a student to put as much on a student loan as possible, because now they're only it doesn't matter what their loan is.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's these terms and then it's forgiven. So now the colleges can charge astronomical rates and it all gets forgiven.
I don't remember who I was listening to.
And you're paying for it.
First off, and all of that stuff just makes me want to buy a weapon and shoot people. Before we get put on blast, I will put the link to that article in the description of this podcast. It is, if you were to Google it, it's an article from Fortune, and the title is "There's a Giant Loophole in Biden's student debt relief package that could make college even more expensive. Here's how it works." And it's written by a guy named Will Daniel on August 30th, 2022. So I will, while I'm thinking about it right now, I'm actually going to copy this and send it to Austin. It's just...
Thanks, Mitch.
It's just insane. It's literally insane.
Right. So we shamed everybody for a long time by saying you got to go to college to get a good job. And now we're like, psych, gotcha, like no tag backs. On top of going to college to get a good job, you didn't actually get a good job, and all those people who chose not to, who saw through the bullshit, well, guess what? They still get to pay for it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, it is...
And then they wonder why people are so pissed that they literally get death threats.
Yeah.
I mean, they wonder why... I don't understand why these people are so mad. Well, I don't know. Maybe because I've been digging ditches for 20 fucking years, and now I've got to pay for Susie J. Joe Dummy, who got a basket weaving degree.
Yeah.
Because she can't get a job with her degree now. Now my tax dollars have to go to that.
I've been sent this meme.
I mean, people just... I can't even collect my thoughts. I'm so mad right now.
Yeah.
It literally... It makes me question That's the problem. It makes you question everything you've ever been taught about anything.
Right. So
about fairness, about working hard and being dedicated, about taking care of yourself, about taking care of those around you.
Right.
It literally throws all that crap out the window.
Yeah. I've got kind of two viewpoints on the thing, and we'll get into that in a second. But I've been sent this meme by boatloads of people. It says, hardworking plumber looking forward to paying for his neighbor's gender studies degree after he unclogs her drain line.
Yeah.
And what's funny is this article was written by the Babylon Bee in August of, where's it at? 2 years ago. So August of 2020.
Yeah, that's when they were, so when
election time.
Yeah, they were talking about, we're going to forgive student loan debt.
Right.
We're going to do this. And we're going to do that. Well, guess what? They did it, and they screwed everybody else.
What was completely satire 2 years ago is now 100% reality.
Yeah. I mean,
100%.
We are literally on, is it AC/DC that sings the song Highway to Hell?
Right.
We are literally on a highway to hell.
Yeah.
Downhill.
Yep.
And it's on fire. I mean, there is nothing stopping.
Yep.
I mean, we're just...
So, I mentioned a minute ago, there's kind of two ways to look at this. I don't know which way I'm looking at it yet. I'm kind of looking at both. One is, yeah, that sucks. It's disgusting. Can we change it? I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't have the knowledge or capacity to know how to change that.
Someone's going to sue him, and it's going to go to the Supreme Court eventually.
Right.
Is what's going to happen. But someone has to sue on some realistic basis. And you know how they're doing that. Did you see how they're doing it? So normally it would take an act of Congress to spend taxpayer dollars. Well, when 9/11 happened, there was an act enabled that allowed the president to forgive student loan payments and debt in a time of national emergency. And so now they're saying the COVID pandemic, because of the COVID pandemic, it grants him these powers to do that.
Right.
I mean, dude, come on.
Right. Well, just like they did with the vaccine mandates, where they pushed it out for a long time. It's going to be required. It's going to be required. So just go ahead and do it. It's going to be required.
Yeah.
And then
it's a dog and pony show, and then at the end be like, oh,
and then at the
maybe
end,
I couldn't do that, but it's too late
we
now.
couldn't do it. Like they're on camera saying we can't do that, and then 3 weeks later they're saying it's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
But the whole, that was all, like you said, dog and pony show, and the whole reason for that was how many people did they convince to go ahead and get vaccinated in the meantime, knowing that it wouldn't actually ever come to fruition?
Yeah, lots of people did it. I mean, literally hundreds of millions of people did it just because they didn't have,
wouldn't lose their job.
And they didn't want to have to deal with it later.
Yeah.
Lots of people are like that. They're passive aggressive, and they're like, you know what? I'm just going to do it so it's not a hassle later.
Right. So it's possible that this is some other, I don't know what the end play is. Like that one was to get people vaccinated. I don't really know what the end play is with this one. But it's possible that this is some other dog and pony show that won't ever act like, they could be behind closed doors saying, yeah, this is going to go to the Supreme Court and it's going to get tossed, but we're going to try it. Who knows? So one way to look at it is you can get crazy frustrated. You can share a bunch of memes with your friends. You can waste a lot of energy bitching about it.
Or you can buy a gun and get some ammo.
and not really move the needle in any direction, right? Or you can do what every financially successful person does, and they look at tax law, they look at how the tax code works. They know they can't change the tax code, but it's we all play from the same system, and it's our job to maximize that system towards our benefit, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at this, I'm going, maybe I should go get some college courses.
They're not going to help you, though.
Some courses might. I don't think general degrees.
No, I mean for you personally.
Yeah, no, I could probably go find 10 college courses that I would get great benefit from. Now,
do you think it's going to would it actually make a financial impact on your life?
Yeah. Oh, totally. So like if my kids go to college, I'll probably encourage them to go to some sort of business management type degree or some kind of accounting background. Now, having a degree in accounting, I don't really there's so much extra bullshit that's lumped into the degree that's what makes college crazy unaffordable, right? And that's what's kind of neat about the trades program is you're being taught the skills that you need and nothing extra. No extra fluff, no extra bullshit. And
they're not teaching you you're a racist for no reason.
Right. You don't
they're not
have
indoctrinating you with their crap.
Right. And this is the problem that I have with teachers. And I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers here. Teachers are way, way, way overeducated for what they do. And I am not dogging on teachers in the slightest. But you can't tell me that you need 4+ years of college to be a massive influence on a fourth grader's life.
Yeah.
Right?
It's insanity.
Right. Now, if you want to be the principal of the school or
a professor at a university, that's different.
Things like that are different, right? Now, I cannot understate this enough that I am not bashing teachers at all. I'm thinking the way around this.
If
you could lower a teacher's education costs by 75% if you gave them the courses they need to teach the grade they're going to teach.
Yeah.
And then if they want to change grades and they have to go take an extra course or two to go from 4th to 6th grade or whatever, well, guess what? Now you can go take those courses. That's how the trades world works.
Yeah.
I need the courses I need to become a journeyman plumber. And then if I want to become a master plumber, I go take extra courses. If I want a backflow certification, I choose to go take extra courses. For me to go be a plumber day one, I don't have to have 6 years of courses.
No.
I literally stack the courses as I choose my career path. If they did that with teachers, it would totally eliminate the argument of teachers spent all this money on education and they're one of the lowest paying jobs out there. Well, the pay reflects the roles, right?
And how many more teachers would there be?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So say at 55, I decide, man, I can retire. I'm done. I've got the money. But like Mitch knows me, that's not happening.
Right.
You know, I'm going to have to do something.
Right.
Say I wanted to go teach 2 classes at a community college.
I'd love to teach high school classes, like during that super impressionable year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But you're telling me I can't because I got to have a 4-year bachelor's degree,
right?
And 75, just like you said, 75% of the stuff I learn in getting that bachelor's degree has no effect, on the things that I need to know to teach these kids the skills they need to move forward,
right? And just like in the trades world, you can test out of courses. Like you don't have to attend the course to pass the course.
No.
You can go straight to the test.
Yeah, give me the test, bro.
And if I can pass the test, I'm qualified.
Here's my 150, give me my test. Let's see what we got.
So you could take a guy, just like what you were saying. Yeah. He's at the end of his career, but he wants to still have an impact on people. He wants to go teach 8th grade, 9th grade, 11th grade, whatever.
Yeah.
If he can test his way into that and no courses needed, and then you have a couple of shaping courses to like, here's how you teach the curriculum or, whatever the case may be.
Here's how you handle young people when they're... I could see you having to have a semester of, hey, look, this is how you handle kids.
Yeah.
Between this age and this age because they're bat crap crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
one of the
I could use one of those with Layla right now.
My kids were in scouts, and I was a scouting leader for a while. And one of the really neat things about that program has a lot of downsides. It's got a lot of upsides. One of the really neat things with that program is, man, they have the psychology of a developing boy down to a freaking science. Yeah. Like they can literally take a boy at 7 years old and they will give you a description of a 7-year-old boy. Like, here's how he acts, here's how he behaves, here's how he eats, here's how he responds to like
this is what he says when he's bullied. This is what they
and like I'm reading those as my kids are that age, and I'm like, holy cow! It's like they wrote this about my kid, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, to your logic, you could. I mean, yes, there are courses that you wouldn't get out of that you would have to take that are going to apply it straight to that. But
yeah, but still, it's not a 4-year education.
Right. You don't have to go take accounting classes to go be a kindergarten teacher.
I don't have to go stay in a dorm for my first full year as a freshman so that I can gain the college experience to teach small children.
Yeah. You don't have to take a foreign language to teach kindergarten either. Unless you're in an area that needs that foreign language, right? If you're in Phoenix or Texas or something like that, then you might
you might need it.
Regionally, you might have to go take a Spanish class. But if you're in Kansas City, if you're in Nebraska, there's no reason you should have to waste education dollars and waste time learning stuff like that you will probably never use.
And that's what I meant by, the system's broken, right? So but we're going to pay all this money. But then in 2 days, we're going to write loans for another 10,000 people.
Yeah.
You have to fix it before you can you can't put a Band-Aid on and then cut yourself.
Right.
It doesn't work.
Right. The other thing, and you'll never see me call for more regulation from the government. You'll never see me call for bigger government. The other thing is identifying that in order to be successful in life, you absolutely do not have to have college. There are certain courses that you may have, there are certain professions you may choose where college is indeed required.
Yeah, if you're going to be a doctor, you got to go to college. If you're going to be a lawyer, you have to go to college. If you're going to be an accountant,
architect, engineer.
Yeah, there are certain things that require it.
Right.
But we have, in our society now, it's just, nope, you have to go no matter what.
Right. Now, I will say this. You have to go to college to be a doctor. You do not have to go to college to own a practice.
No, but you can only hire accredited doctors to work at that practice.
Correct. So if your goal is to one day,
firm might be the same way. I'm talking out of my ass a little bit, but I think it's the same way.
So you have to go to college to be an engineer. You don't have to go to college to own an engineering firm. Right. So if your goal one day is to own an engineering firm, then I'd spend some serious time looking at ways that I can own a firm without having to go to college. It's literally rallying a team of engineers together, you organizing everything, letting them do the engineering, and you are doing the organizing. I mean, literally that's all business ownership is you're a people organizer.
Yeah.
You're getting the most out of people.
Well, you have to be able to, when there is a real hard problem that needs to be solved, like in plumbing. Okay, if you have an issue that is insanely difficult to diagnose and you can't figure out what's going on. HVAC is probably a better example.
It helps to have that. For sure.
Yeah. So, say I have two guys that are working for me and they go out and try to diagnose, say a TXV is acting up, which can be in your first few years.
Yeah, it's tough.
You don't know what's going on. The main man needs to step in there and go, hey, okay, guys, I'm coming over. We'll work it out together and figure it out.
So the counter argument,
and it's not an argument. I would just say
the counter argument of that is that it doesn't have to be the business owner. Like you can have your rock star service tech with all the knowledge, and he's like your lead trainer, or he's like your department manager, or whatever.
Yeah, he could be your service manager,
right?
Like or you could have a head engineer that's.
I guarantee you, Elon Musk has no clue how to solve the physics problems that it takes to put rockets into orbit and then land them back on pads in the ocean.
Oh, no, he has no fucking clue.
Right?
I mean, he's a smart guy, but no, you're probably right.
Right. Like, he's found a way to hire those people and own the company. I mean, he's a special case.
You write a check.
Right. But, like, that's one of the things I look forward to in our business. I can't wait to get to the point where I'm no longer the smartest guy in my company.
Like, you could hire me.
The smartest
and
guy
would be over right now.
Touche. Like, and I'm not going to say I'm the smartest guy in our company now. What I'm saying
plumbing wise,
maybe. But what I'm saying is, like, I can't wait to get to the point where I'm not the guy.
You're not the service manager
that goes through all the.
You're the service manager right now. You can't wait to hire a service manager.
Yeah. Like
you got a long way to go.
That's a platform. That's a level. That's an achievement that I'm striving for. Right.
You know, that's a whole nother show too, especially for guys in your situation. A lot of guys can't do that because they can't give that control over.
Yeah.
Because they're control freaks.
Yep.
And they just can't. They can't trust. They don't. I mean, it's hard for them to deal with. We could do a whole 45-minute show on that.
Maybe that's next week.
Ugh, sounds lame.
We can go ahead and start wrapping it up for this show.
I have one more thing to say about the student loans.
All right.
I usually do not get on the side of any cultural group.
Mm-hmm.
But have you seen how mad the NAACP is?
No, I haven't.
And rightfully so. So, you know, they've paid off all this loan debt. I can't remember what the percentage was of the study, but I mean, it was a huge number. Like 75% of that forgiveness is going to go to white, educated students who come from families with money.
Okay.
I shouldn't say with money, but because those are the degrees that they were looking at getting were not degrees where they could get a job and pay for that back.
Okay.
So the black families that got jobs and paid those loans back or didn't go at all is extremely diverse.
Wow.
I mean, we're talking a huge number.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people are really pissed because basically what they're saying is he's just gone out there and bought those white kids' votes.
Yeah.
Is what he's done. He's just gone out there and said, okay, I told you I was going to do it. Here's your money. I'm buying that vote.
Right.
Vote for me.
One of the conversations I got in with somebody was taught like they were trying to make it political when I was prying on them to say like, what's the root cause of this? And the root cause is colleges charging way too much for education, right? And they kept saying that the root cause is Republicans. And the Republicans, like...
I mean, how do you even get there?
Boy, I don't, like...
Like, how do you still blame Trump? It's been 2 years.
Right.
I mean, they just still keep doing it. The dude's gone.
Been a problem since, long before Trump was here.
Since 2000 is when it really started to take off.
Right.
And, I mean...
And so the root cause of the problem has nothing to do with politics, other than politics not holding colleges accountable. However, the solution is purely vote-driven. They are buying votes left and right.
Yeah.
So this is no different than your Obama phones and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, it's no different than saying I'm not responsible for gas prices when they're increasing, and then the moment they drop, saying you're welcome. Like this was all me.
I did this.
Yeah.
Right after saying presidents can't control gas prices.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What did you say 3 weeks ago?
It's no different than changing the definition of a recession just so you can say we're not in a recession.
Yeah.
right? Like they're playing with fire, and it's going to catch up with them very quickly.
You know, I think it was the last show we did. We were talking about like what it would take for a reset, or what it would take before people really got mad, and there was, I mean, some serious violence. And I never. You said that, hey, I think it's going to get bloody and could be nasty, and I prep, but I don't prep like, you know, the crazy people, and I never thought I would say, you know, you might be right, but after this week, you might be right.
Right. So, like,
people are literally pissed.
It's been a couple of weeks since we recorded a show, and what's happened in that couple of weeks? 87.
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, 87,000 IRS agents are now being hired, and if you look at the job description, they need to be capable with firearms.
Yeah.
Right? 87,000.
Yeah. They better bring more than a few to my house if they show up.
Right? So, on top of that, now you're making it the entire population of the U.S.'s problem because some people went out and got degrees that have no value.
Yeah.
So...
they're literally... He's literally stealing from hardworking Americans. That's literally what's happening.
Yeah.
He's just taking their money and giving it to other people.
Yeah, it's the ultimate...
It's the ultimate fuck you is what it is.
It's the ultimate form of taxation is theft, right?
Yeah.
So, like, taxation alone isn't theft. Mismanagement of those funds is pure theft.
Yeah.
So...
we could talk about this.
Ooh. Yeah.
For fucking 2 days.
So you can definitely see where it could go to a point where it would get violent.
Well, that's what I was saying is when we talked about that, I thought Mitch is full of shit. And then the more I thought about it, and the more I read just, you know, what random people post and what real people, real leaders in this country are writing about, like, you know, their op-eds and stuff. And I'll read some of those. And then over the last 2 weeks, I think you might be right.
Go look at...
it's weird, man.
Go look at any massive government change in history.
Yeah.
It did not come peacefully.
No.
I can't think of a single significant government overthrow that came peacefully.
Yeah.
They all come with violence.
We might be on the highway to hell.
Possibly.
Did you see Iran is shipping drones to Russia so they can fight Ukraine?
No.
That's a whole nother battle.
It's a whole nother battle.
Oh, my God.
So, well,
it's crazy, man.
We'll wrap this one up. Guys, if you like the format or whatever, drop us. We've got the @podcast The Void on Facebook. If you're listening to this show and you're not on that Facebook page, go find it. Just go to Facebook and search @podcast The Void, and we should pop up there. So, you know, find us on Facebook, drop us a comment or a message on Facebook, and let us know what you're thinking about this new show format. We like it. We think it's going to bring you guys more value, more solid content, and waste a little bit less of your time. Not that we like referring to our show as a waste of your time, but just trying to make a more efficient use of your time. So until next time, guys, we will see you later.
See you guys.